Just the Thought podcast. We are back. Shout out to Andre, Tion, my two co-hosts. They could not be here, but shout out to them. I hope they're having a great week, and I hope they go into next week killing it. And much love, much respect to both of them. But we got an important guest on this show. Of course, all our guests are important, but this one is pretty special. Um, to me, I'm lucky enough to get to know who he is. He's a mentor to me. Being in the community, working hard. When you talk about determination, consistent, hardworking, I think of this person and I've learned a lot from him. Just learning how to be a leader and learning how to progress and never giving up. And something I really took from him when I was working with him. But much love and respect. Like I said, my mentor. But I'm gonna let him introduce himself, man. Donnie, welcome to the show, man.
Well, thank you, my good man. I
Yeah,
appreciate the warm welcome and the kudos and the accolades, and I hope I can live up to that hype, and just doing good work here in the community. So I appreciate you.
yeah, man. How's your summer been?
Well, our summer been great. It's been hard work and commitment, dedication, and just love of what we do and passion for what we do. And it's been a great summer. So thank you again for inviting me on your
Yeah,
podcast, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you this afternoon and
yeah, man. Yeah, man.
hearing some bits about our organization.
Yeah, man. I'm excited because, like I said, I've been following you for a long time, and even though we work together, just every single year, I've seen a progress. And I know you're a humble dude. Like words don't mean nothing. You know, you're gonna keep working, but every year I've seen progress, and from when I was working with you, the what you promote Bridgeport lacrosse, Bridgeport youth sports, it was at a different place when I was working with you. You know what I'm saying? And now seeing it progress to where it is, I can imagine. Sometimes you sit back and wow, I'm here now. How what was the first feeling like when you started this organization? How did you
So
feel?
so the feeling was awesome because it was a need in the community for a program like ours.
Yeah.
Again, my name is Don Wilson, president and founder, Bridgeport Youth Lacrosse. And then we have the Sports Academy, but I'll talk about the lacrosse program where we started, excuse me. Over celebrating over 15 years of service here in the community. We started with lacrosse, and lacrosse was not a traditional sport here in our community. And I wanted to give back something to the community that my kids love and we're doing well at, and we're excelling at it. And it was new, right? So for me, I ran track, played basketball, played football at Greenwich High School. And, lacrosse was not something that I knew about and wish I did. But then when my son started going to a private school and, started to, explore non-traditional sports like lacrosse, I quickly gravitated to him because like a parent, most parents do, whatever your kids are interested in, you try to find a way to be involved as much as you can. And my involvement with just driving him back and forth um, from Bridgeport to Greenwich,
Mm.
um, just build that dedication in me as to be more committed to making sure that he was being successful in whatever endeavors that he chose to do. So, lacrosse, again, was not a traditional sport in my community of Bridgeport, Connecticut. We tend to, culturally, soccer, football, basketball. Those were the three main sports that were in our community at the time that I started the lacrosse program. and he was playing basketball at a very high level, and I wanted to make sure that he was benefiting from experience of going to a private school as well. But also, driving to Greenwich from Bridgeport is a half an hour. Sometimes it would take 2 hours. Sometimes, take 3 hours.
That traffic. Yeah, that traffic.
Yeah, depending on the traffic. So,
Yeah,
that after, a couple of years, I was like, hey, there's got to be a better way. And we started a program here in the city of Bridgeport. When we first started, it was organized chaos. We didn't have lacrosse stick. I didn't know much about the game. We had to get help from outside the community because it was not here in the community. So luckily, we found folks like Fairfield University and another organization called the Rusty Red Foundation at University of New Haven. They were instrumental in helping us getting this program started and introducing lacrosse and exposing youth to that non-traditional sports here in the community. And we did that for a couple of years, and we began to get some traction. We started out of a community center, the Sheehan Center, and they were really embracing us, and we were able to work with the kids in the center to promote lacrosse and to build that brand. And we started with about 40 kids, and never looked back. We just kept
never
going
look back.
and being
Yeah,
consistent and never look back. We just wanted to make sure that we were exposing more and more kids to the program.
yeah. Shout out to Josiah, by the way, man. Big up, Josiah. Much
So we know
respect.
you guys grew up together in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Yeah, man.
That's that background, and that's
Yeah,
that
man.
foundation, and that foundation of going to a good school, and just really wanting to excel and achieve, and
Yeah,
just, celebrating that as well, like just our culture and celebrating where we're coming from, and never forget where you're coming from, right?
yeah, man. You did a good job, man. You did a good job, man. As a
Yeah, I
parent, you did a good job, bro.
appreciate it.
But
Yeah.
let me ask you this. How are you able to be consistent with your program? Because consistency is something that a lot of people do not master. And like
Mm.
for me, I'm still trying to be consistent with this podcast, with being healthy in general, with being mentally healthy. But we know that not everybody can be consistent. How do you stay consistent with this business that you have, and how are you able to still inspire and continue to help kids progress with sports and just lacrosse in general? How do you stay consistent?
So staying consistent is a passion and a love, right? And a vision,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Just having that passion and that love to see kids um, come into their own and discover new ideas and new programs and new sports, and them falling in love with it, and you see the excitement on their faces when they experience that joy of lacrosse. And it's called the creators game, and for us lacrosse is like medicine. So when I see these kids start experiencing the medicine of lacrosse, which is healing. So lacrosse is we say lacrosse is is the medicine game. So
yeah,
when we see that healing within the kids, um, I get excited about that, because I know within our community there's so many adverse childhood experiences, so much trauma, so much violence. And if we could give a kid a sport that could help them heal and help them get through tough times and help them overcome, and seeing that on their faces, is quite a release and a relief for these kids, and for us as coaches, mentors, leaders in the community, to have something special like that to give back to the community is an awesome feeling. So every day I get up, I'm inspired. I love what I'm doing. I just really, I'm passionate about it. And so that's what I would say to you. If you're passionate about this podcast and whatever else you're doing, weightlifting or eating healthy, you're going to make a way for it to be successful. And, never give up, no matter what others people say or how people feel about what you're doing. I just have a feel. I just have this vibe. I can't turn back now. I've
Yeah.
turned so many kids onto this and the community onto this, and it becomes a part of the community. And now the community is looking forward and expecting this greatness and this excellence of service in the community. So, I'm kind of stuck, and and it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a
Where
good thing.
it's a good
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
where you don't want to stop doing it. So I hope I continue to have that passion to never stop doing this and inspiring greatness in others.
Yeah, yeah, much love to that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope you can continue to do what you do. And if it's something you love and you feel like you can wake up and it's when something does not feel like a job and
Yes.
you feel like it's a passion, it's something you love, even though sometimes it'll make you angry because you feel like you can do more,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
something
yeah,
for you. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? That's
yeah.
something for you.
That's
And I
definitely the feeling. Definitely the
yeah,
feeling.
just
You
definitely
always, if you
feeling.
get up every day and you feel like, hey, I could do more. I love this, but I could do something more, and I know I could do more. Then
Yeah.
it becomes a joy.
Yeah, it becomes a joy. And that's what I feel about this podcast, man. It's just like I take so much I take so much advice or notes. I take notes from Joe Rogan. I take notes from people like Gilly Wallow, $1 million worth of game. I take notes from the Pivot podcast. I'm always taking notes because I'm like, these guys, if they're so consistent, they know how to handle guests, they know how to make guests feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
like sometimes I go back and I watch some of the episodes and I'm like, I could do that better. I could do that better. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, it's not something I have to do. It's something I want to do. Like it's this feeling that I'm always like, I can do that. I can reach out to people. I can continue. It's for me, it's no problem.
Yeah.
But it's hard sometimes, like because you want to be better at it. It's not because you want to quit. It's just because you want to be better at it because that's your passion. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Like
Mm,
you have Jamaican blood. You're from Jamaica.
yep.
You came to the States. You come from a strong family. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing. How was your upbringing? Like,
Well, it's kind of funny you say that because it's like, coming from a single family home and having a strong mom and, just wanting to always to please your mom and your family and,
yeah,
respecting the name and, that culture of where you're coming from. And I hope, my colors and always respecting that branding and, where you're coming from and wanting to represent that on the highest levels. That is something that I really always strive for, right? And my upbringing, I was born in Jamaica, came here in 1979. It was a struggle when I came here because Jamaicans weren't embraced as they are now. The food, the
no,
culture,
yeah,
none of that was embraced back in in the 70s or late 70s, early 80s, until the music of Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and Jacob Miller and those guys, Burning Spear, the music and the culture really started to set the trend for the evolution of being a Jamaican in America and across the world. So that part of me, that culture that is in me, still strives till today and help inspire me to who I am. But growing up, playing, making games, making it up, flying kites, going over to the public field. We call it public line, like a public field, and playing cricket, playing marbles with my friend, going to Mango Bush, going to the river, going, doing all these things that kids are supposed to do and enjoy their lives coming up. We were very lucky and fortunate to be able to do a lot of that stuff that I see kids now don't have the opportunities to do. So kids nowadays, you really can't even let them out the house and say, go
no,
play outside and have some fun and run around. It's not a community anymore. And how do
yeah,
we get back to that community is what I'm really interested in. And for me, growing up, and Bridgeport Youth Lacrosse is community. So I try to bring that family aspect back, that family vibe of we're in this together. It takes a village. So that's the culture of what I'm trying to do here in Bridgeport. And, just building that, striving for excellence in all our student athletes. We want them to be students first, and then, focus on the athletics paralysis. But, community was a great part of, even when we were growing up in Greenwich. We were a small community. We took care of each other. We
Yeah.
off of each other. We had cookouts. We had kickball games, baseball, basketball, whatever we did, we always did it as a community. And it seems like we've gotten a far away from that. And, somehow we got to get that back within the structure of, the world, and how it's a village, and it takes a village to raise up this strong youth in the community.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's true. It's important that we protect because it's hard. Like you said, children can't even go outside anymore. To be honest, they can't even. The internet's not safe. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? There's a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
lot of.
Even when they're
You know what I'm
in
saying?
home. Yeah,
The internet is worse than outside.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Even when they're on the internet at home, where they're supposed to be safe, it's not safe. You know what
it's
I mean?
not safe. A lot of cases of cyberbullying. A lot of kids are like when they see these type of things, they end up being depressed. They end up like being self-conscious. They end up having low
Self-esteem.
self-esteem. Like it's sad. So like people like that, people like you is like it's important to
Yeah,
protect that, to
yeah.
give them
It's
that feeling of like how it is to be a
structure.
kid and
Yeah,
structure and like
yeah. And
fun. You
being
know
in
what I'm
a
saying?
safe space and having fun, right?
Yeah. But let me ask you this: so you came to from Jamaica in '79 to the United States. Did you feel like coming from an all black country, then move into a place where it's mixed? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? What was that like? How did you feel? Like, did you feel out of place, or did you feel like this is not so bad?
Man, felt like, I felt excited to be here because we always talked about coming to America, changing your life,
Yeah.
a better experience, better schools, and all of that stuff. But at the same time, the culture of racism, black on black crime was very prevalent. And, the opportunities, like growing up in Jamaica, and seeing only black kids around you in schools, right? You had that safe space, right? And then when you come here and you are dropped in a inner city environment like Dorchester, Massachusetts, and it was like the black kids had a resentment towards foreigners, right? And
Mm.
it was even called like the banana boat man. Go back, you're alien, go back to your country, and all of this kind of stuff.
Why do
So
you why do you think that's the case? Why do you think that was the why do you
just
think that's
lack
a
of
problem?
just ignorance and lack of experience, and feeling threatened. I look at it back, and I just feel like, what you don't know and what you're not exposed to, sometimes it could be detrimental to you. And so
True.
those kids that didn't know us, didn't accept us, and didn't know about us, and thought we were different, didn't they weren't taught like we were all of the same creed, or are Africans, or we have the same blood running through
Yeah.
us. So for us in Jamaica, we were wide open. We loved everybody that came in, and we were really receptive of that. And so when I came here, that was hard for me. And I'll tell you a story. It's a really funny story, and I'll just tell you the story. So my little brother and I came here first with our mom and my two sisters, and they were older, so it was kind of easier for them, and they were girls. But we were young, and I was about 9, and he was about 7, and it wasn't easy for us to go to like elementary school here, and we would get bullied all the time when you spoke. It was when you were in school and you're doing math and you say tree, and it's three. Kids would make fun of you, like, yo, man, that's not, the word is three, it's not tree, right? Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, even that was funny when I look back on it. Like, kids used to pick on us for stuff like that. But like in our community, we would get bullied all the time, and kids would pick on us when we went to school on a bus and everything like that. So I remember one day, and God rest my grandmother's soul. I love her to death because she's the one that made it possible for us to be here. Grandma got fed up. Grandma got fed up. Like, her grandkids were being bullied all the time. And now she would be in jail if she was around, told this story, right? So grandma, in Jamaica, we have those machetes. And
Yeah, the big machetes.
big machetes. And
Yeah.
grandma had a
Y'all
big
don't be playing, man.
don't be playing. Grandma had a big machete. And one day she was like, that's it. I'm going down to the bus stop with you guys, right? And grandma came down to the bus stop with a machete. And she was like wheeling that thing, like threatening all the kids, like, y'all mess with my grandkids, I'm gonna chop somebody up.
Oh yeah, she would have been in jail. She would have been in jail. She would have been in jail. You can't do that. Yeah, you gonna
But
be
that
in
was
jail,
grandma,
man.
but that was grandma for you. Grandma was not having it. And
Yeah,
we didn't have no issues. We had issues, but we didn't have no, getting on the bus kind of issues. After that, had to sit in the front of the bus and all of that kind of stuff. But the kids were really shook. And it helped, it benefited us, but we had to learn how to stand up for ourselves at the same time. And we got comfortable more. We were here. We got a little bit more comfortable, so we were able to defend ourselves. And more of our family members started to come over. So one thing I'll say to you, when back in 1979, in the early part of the 80s, every American was cousins. So if you were fighting with one American kid, you would be fighting with the whole neighborhood. And that's what we knew. We had small numbers, and you did not want to mess around because you was gonna get jumped by the whole damn
yeah,
neighborhood. And that was the scary part, you know what I mean? But yeah, we got through that, survived that. But those traumas, those experiences is what really helped build us and build me and my brother, and to be able to still be here and survive to this day, right? What don't break you make you stronger. So
bring you
I just
stronger.
I
Yeah,
just look back
yeah,
on those experiences, and it's worse now with the violence that these kids are being impacted by. Back in the days, you would throw your dukes up and knuckle up, guard your grill. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Now
Now
kid
it's
come out, now kid come out and it's
just
like,
shoot you.
and
That's
just
it.
shoot, and it's
Just
done. You know
shoot
what I
you.
mean? So
Yeah,
it's totally different experience, and that's the trauma that these kids. The guns are more accessible, and that's the trauma that these kids are really facing. So if we could provide services that could help these kids, and looking back on my trauma and what I went through, and trying to alleviate some of those stresses, and creating programs for these kids that they could have fun, they could create friendships, and be themselves. Nothing better than that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, that story's kind
now
of
that yeah, that's no, I appreciate you for sharing that. So you grow up now. You come from Jamaica and you come to the States and you grow up. You become a father. How does it feel to be? How does it feel being a dad? Like that first experience becoming a dad and living in a different place. What was that feeling like?
well, I didn't grow up with a dad, so I always want to make sure that I was a dad,
Of
right? So,
course, yeah,
uh, not growing up with a father, I wanted to make sure I was there for my kids. I saw growing up in Greenwich, I saw how, the fathers really, the community really took care of each other, and dads, were dads, and took care of their families. And I really wanted to be a part of that culture and change. Because when I first came here, the thought was we wanted to change. Each generation is supposed to be better than the first generation,
of course.
right? So I wanted to make sure I was a part of that process, and to make sure that my son and my daughter were able to take care of themselves and change the trajectory of their lives, right? And change how they looked at the world and how they perceived the world and how they traveled throughout the world and their experiences, their life experiences. And, it's been very blessed to see them living up to their dreams and living out their dream and living out some of my dreams and hopes for them. Graduating college, having their master's degree, working in really exciting places inside, living inside of New York City and taking care of themselves. It's quite fulfilling to see that level of commitment and discipline and success within the family structure that you strived for.
Yeah, yeah. And I can imagine when your daughter graduated, that feeling like it happened. You know what I'm saying? That I watched her from being a baby until becoming a woman, and now she's graduated. She has her master's, and it's like I can imagine that feeling like I
Mm-hmm.
did it. You know what I'm saying? I can imagine. What was that feeling like?
Yeah, well, me still not having my master's degree yet. It's kind of exciting to see them, you know, succeeding and having that level of success and commitment and dedication, because it is sometimes as a parent you sacrifice, right? And you give
Yeah,
up certain things and you give up you have to work 2, 3 jobs and things like that. So you don't really have the time to commit to that education, but to see that they took it on and they ran with it, and you're able to help them and guide them and help them through that process, is really awesome feeling. It's an awesome feeling.
yeah, yeah. I can imagine. So let me ask you this: why did you choose to inspire kids? Why did you choose to inspire kids? Because it's a difficult job to do. You see a lot of good parents, but you also see a lot of bad parents. And for you to take on that role of having the responsibility of other kids and helping them develop to a person that you want to see, how, why do you inspire them? Because this is a difficult job.
Oh yeah, it's very difficult, but you know one of my hashtags is inspiring greatness, right? So seeing what I've done for my kids, right? And knowing what that process is, right? Um, you know, that's why I choose to inspire greatness in other kids, because I know I've seen it work. I know how to put those steps in place to make it work. And some parents don't have that opportunity. Some parents don't know what the guidelines are, don't know what the process is. So if I could be a part of any kid's process and to help them achieve greatness, it's a great feeling. Like today, I was talking to a young man, and I'm trying to help him get on his path to greatness, because he's been in my summer camp program for a couple of years now. He's now a counselor within our program, trying to help other kids. But I also got to remember that I got to keep helping him, because he is 11th grader, could get caught up in the time and where we are here in our city of violence and recidivism, and dropping out of school and those kind of things. And I just want to make sure that the kids that we are touching or inspiring have that vision, have that passion, have goals settings, have goal orientations, and they're achieving their goals as well. So, we have kids that have gone on to great universities and, played lacrosse at very high levels. And we just want to continue to tell their stories to other kids so they could inspire to be greatness. And we want those kids that have gone on to come back and give back and to help these kids, these new generations, to achieve their greatness as well. So it's a full circle, and we want to make sure that everybody's a part of the process.
Yeah, let me ask you this, and I know maybe because you probably have a lot of memories, but what was one of the most memorable times you had that you saw in a kid and you saw him go from this part and you saw him elevate and become a man, like what was one of the most memorable moments that you like, wow, I remember this kid was here but now this person's there, like can you share like a memory you had?
Oh yeah, I remember, oh my God, I got so many stories I could tell you. And
I know, that's why I just said you like,
I would
tell me one.
inspire, I would, encourage everyone to go visit our YouTube channels, and some of these testimonials are on our YouTube channel. But there was this one when I first started the program. There was this one kid, and he was big boy, about 6'2", 6'4", about 240 pounds.
Damn.
And we're
It's a
and I'm
truck.
yeah, and he was a truck. And we were in the Sheehan Center one winter day, and he comes in and he's like, and I'm gonna try to imitate him correctly. He's like, Coach Don. And I'm like, who is this? Like, this voice. Oh my God, listen to this voice. Coach Don, I want to play lacrosse. I'm looking at him like, have you ever played lacrosse before? And he's like, no, never played before. And I'm like, okay, it's gonna take some work, right? And he's like, yeah, I know it's gonna take some work, but I'm dedicated. I want to learn how to play. That young man's name is Isaiah Thurgood, and that young man stayed with me for 3 years, learned to play lacrosse, went on to Western Connecticut State University, played lacrosse there for 4 years. He became an RA, and now he was involved in leadership in the school and student union, and became president of his class, and went out, and he's now out in Oregon working in the state, at the state capitol, working in diversity and training the staff in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And he's got goals of coming back and running for office. So to see and inspire a young man like that, to see him live out his dreams and his passion, is quite fulfilling. It's amazing. Like, I talk to him now, and it's like, hey Isaiah, what are you doing? And he still got, hey Coach Don, I'm good.
That's good to see though. That's good to see because
Beautiful
you
to see, man.
it's
And,
great to see. It's great to
I'm
see, and
excited
especially
to inspire more kids like that. We have a young man who's at one of the top engineering schools in the country, RPI, and I met him when he was obese and diabetic, and I mean, his mom came to me and was like, Don, I don't know what to do. How can, and I'm like, give him to me. Give him to me. I'll make him run. I'll inspire him. He played 4 years for lacrosse for me at a high school here in Connecticut. And now he's graduated top of his class and moved on into higher education. And he's studying to become an engineer, and he'll graduate next year. He's a senior this year. So tons of stories like that. We have kids that have gone on and played at very top level high school, colleges. And again, I would encourage your audience to go onto our YouTube channel and view some of those testimonials of, those student athletes that have achieved. We have another kid that a top chef, out in Denver. And so, it's just wild. I have a bunch of my students who are artists, hip hop artists, rap stars, and singers and stuff like that. So, it's a good feeling. Put it that way. It's a great feeling.
it's a great feeling. How does it feel to do it for the Black community? Because
Yeah.
and a lot of our communities unfortunately suffer because the
Mm-hmm.
lack of parenting or the
Lack
lack
of
of
knowledge.
leadership, lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But being somebody that helps the community in general, but mostly predominantly our people. How does
It's
that
very,
feel? Being positive about that.
it's very important that we have
Yeah,
male role models,
of
Black
course.
male role models in the community. It's very important. There's such a lack of father participation within the community, and even, I call it opportunity hoarding. Even the parents that, are, you know taking their kids out of the community and excelling at certain levels, they don't come back and give back to the community. So I wanted to make sure that I was helping the community. Again, Bridgeport Youth Lacrosse is a community, it's a family, it's passion. We care about the kids. Most of our programs we do are free for the kids, and just to get them involved and to get them a part of a community, a part of something else, because sometimes they're not getting it at home. Sometimes it's not available at home. Sometimes, they're at home and they need to be out of the house because for whatever reason that's going on inside the house. As you said, some of these parents are not parents. So these kids look forward to getting out the house and to being a part and to be a part of someone who treat them like they're somebody, like they're valued, like they matter. Those things are very vital and very important for the health of the community. So, we strive for greatness in those aspects of inspiring greatness in all aspect of what we try to do for the community.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually gonna send another link to you because this video is about to close out. So
Mm-hmm.
check your email in like 1 minute. I'm gonna send a new link because I want to
Okay.
talk to you a little bit more before we end it. But I like this, man. I knew this was gonna be good. But I'm gonna send you
Okay.
the link right now.
Okay. All right. So
All
I'm
right.
gonna end this one.
And yeah, yeah. Being a community leader. Um, Let me ask you this question. What is something what is something that we should be teaching kids? What is something that is very vital for youth to know, enable for them to develop and become something they want to be instead of something negative? What is something that we should be telling youth?
So the number one thing, the number one thing we should be telling youth is teaching youth is love and compassion.
Mm.
That's the number one thing, right? Um, if you don't have love, you got nothing at all, right? And if we cannot love and teach each other how to, to cooperate and to get along with each other, then there's the system of a community breaks down, right? And so we want to make sure we're methodical about it. We're deliberate about it. That we teach these kids about family when we have them in our grasp. Teach them about how a true family is supposed to work together, how to cooperate, and that's what a team does, right? So when I get them and we put them in a team aspect and teach them how to cooperate, how to work with each other, how to work together, they shine bright. They love each other. They you know what I mean? Hey, when we gonna hang out? When we gonna come together? How do we achieve our goal, our intended goals together when we put all of that together, when we put that whole package together of the whole child, right? The mind, the body, the spirit, make it as one, right? When we approach it from that holistic standpoint, then everything really tends to flow very well for your organization. And that's what, one of our main goal is putting kids in situations where they're supporting each other, where they're taking care of each other. And our community just becomes a better community, whether it's the BYL community or the citywide community at large. We now run programs across the city, right? So we run a middle school sports league, and there's almost 26 middle elementary schools here in the city, right? Maybe 22 middle and elementary schools here in the city. And this year we were able to have 18 flag football teams across the city
Oh, that's
from
what's up.
from each school. So when we bring all of these schools together on a Saturday, um, we are trying to inspire these kids to leave that competitive fire on the field. Leave it on the field. We want you to be fierce competitors on the field, But once you leave the field, we don't want you guys taking this to social media. We don't want you taking it beyond the playing field. We want healthy competition, and that's how we're going to build back a culture for sports within the city, and a culture of family and the community and the village, us taking care of each other. Because if the parents are, cooperating with each other off the field as well, it doesn't become that when they're not on the field. When they see each other out in the community, it's like, hey, you go to Winthrop School. Hey, you go to Discovery School. Hey, you go to, Long Meadow School. We just played in a great game, man. Hey, that was a good job. So if we could build that within our youth, and if we could teach them that passion matters, yeah, you could be passionate, but you don't have to be violent towards each other at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you think the schools are missing? Because a lot of behavior sometimes negative
Mm-hmm.
behavior from kids is in the school too. What do you think the school is missing? Because I think for me personally, I think what the school is missing is lack of lack of help. I think a lot of
Funding,
schools are not paying it. A lot of teachers are not paying attention.
funding,
It's
paying attention. The
yeah,
schools, I would say that what the thing that they're missing is, um, people from the community that are working within those schools.
working
People
within those schools.
people that look like the community that are working with those kids that look the same in the community. See, I look like half of the kids we serve, right? The dreads, I mean, they could attack, they could navigate to me. Oh, my uncle got dreads, my brother got dreads,
Yeah,
right? Um, I'm black, I look like them, right? I look like their fathers, their uncles, their grandfathers or whatever, right? So we have that assimilation, that connection, and so to be able to inspire that in our kids. And sometimes, the people that come here, they tell them, I'm only here for the paycheck. They tell the kids. And when a kid hears that, a kid doesn't want to hear that.
no,
When a kid hears that, they don't care about me. They don't care about my success. They don't care about, our culture, what we are going through, what's in our community, because it's not in their community, right? So, like some of these teachers that come from outside the community, violence is not that prevalent in their house. Kids aren't hungry within the household. Their lights aren't being turned off, right? They don't have those kind of connectivity issues where you don't have internet to connect to the internet to do your homework. They don't have those kind of issues. Their phone bills are paid, right? There's food in the refrigerator, right? So the kids aren't leaving the home hungry. Sometimes these kids leave home hungry, right?
yeah,
And a good teacher would have like maybe snacks in the classroom for the kids when they come there. The superintendent of schools told me this story one time. He was at school and he got to school and there was about 4 or 5 kids out there waiting for him already. And when he asked the kids, why are you here so early? And they were like, well, there's no heat in our house. So we're coming to school to get heat, right? Imagine that. Think about that. So some of these teachers don't have that kind of, um, you know, experience where they know what the challenges are of our students and can help them navigate and some of these, I hate to say, some of these teachers, they would rather call the police or DCF on a parent because of their upbringing, and they see something, they have to say something. I don't fault them for that, but like, sometimes it's deeper than what they think it is. Like a kid is hungry, there's no food
yeah,
in, so he comes to school and he's acting out and he's violent and he's hungry. He doesn't know what to do. He's challenged, and he's all he needs is something to eat. So, it's just so many different levels, and his adverse childhood experiences is not the same in a community like Greenwich as it would be in Bridgeport. Because I know growing up in Greenwich, when I played football, man, those steak and egg Saturday mornings for football games, man, those were special, right? We had team bonding, you know, what I mean, steak and eggs, and it was provided by the Booster Club. And when I had a restaurant, I would see kids walking past the restaurants with honey buns, and I'm like, that kid is done. He can't perform. He don't even know how to perform, and he didn't get to the field yet because he's on a sugar rush
He's
at
on
10
the sugar
o'clock.
rush.
At 10
Yeah,
o'clock in the morning, he's on a sugar rush versus having eaten something that just sits on you and you could, proteins and you're gonna perform and you feel like a family, like you just had a great breakfast with your team, and versus you walking and eating a honey bun with your bros and,
yeah.
and talking junk and you're not focused and those kind of things. So,
But
one of
the problem is though in Bridgeport and a lot of poor communities, it's the resources.
the
Like you
resource.
said, it's the resources because though those kids that are living in those communities, they don't know the information that
Mhm.
an apple can give you, a cucumber can give you, a pineapple can give you. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
They don't know that stuff. You
Yeah,
know what
the
I'm saying? So
nutrition,
like
the value
it,
of the nutrition.
it's the nutrition and that's and it's unfortunate because a lot of people that look like us, a lot of kids suffer with childhood obesity, or when
Hmm.
they get older, they got high blood pressure, they have high cholesterol, they're dying early. It's sad because of the lack of knowledge.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
definitely.
sad, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Or
it's
even
something
or
that
even or even that mental space, right? So we talk about the mind, body, and spirit, right?
yeah
When I'm preparing your mind mentally for competition, right? And being able to meditate and being able to breathe and being able to be in control of your emotions and those kind of things. So, one of the things I've had to implement in our program is yoga, just to teach kids how to breathe, how to be in control. You don't talk to the referees. Referees are never there to help you. They're, what I mean, they're not going to change their mind once they blow the whistle. So you there yelling and screaming and arguing with a referee, that doesn't make any sense. What I mean, leave that up to your team captain or your coach to talk to the referees. And we've seen it over the years. Kids will have breakdowns on the field because they're hungry. They don't have that composure. They don't have that discipline. They don't know that structure. And you have to teach them all of those kind of things. How to breathe. How to teach kids how to breathe. And it's crazy. We had to do it. But like, from that holistic standpoint, if you're addressing all of those key components of what it takes to address a youth and to make a youth successful and a good person and a good citizen, you have to know how to peel back each one of those layers and address those layers appropriately. Cognitive behavior, those kind of things. You have to be able to recognize when a kid or youth is in distress and how you're going to support that youth and how you're going to help that youth. So it's all levels. It's multifaceted.
yeah. It's all levels. It's all levels. Let me ask you this. You were able to start something big. You're one of the OGs when it comes to finding Jamaica lacrosse. Explain how that came about because Jamaica, obviously, when you think of Jamaica, you think of track and field, you think of cricket, you think of soccer, football, as they say. You think of these sports. Lacrosse is not an ideal sport in Jamaica before.
Mm.
And what made you think and why did you choose to take this route, starting something big in Jamaica?
Dude, it was like, again, necessity, right? And I know in my mind, whenever you give a kid an opportunity, especially a Caribbean kid, and tell him, hey, this stick will take you to America and take you to a good school, they gravitate to that. Anything that you tell a kid in Jamaica or in the islands or, in a less fortunate um, country, that this is going to help them take them out of poverty, these kids run to that.
Mm.
So, when I first had an opportunity to be engaged with Jamaica Lacrosse, I ran to it because when I first saw lacrosse, the first time I saw lacrosse being played, it was in an indoor setting. And indoor lacrosse is much faster than outdoor lacrosse because it's a smaller field and
Yeah.
it's more transitional back and forth. And all I saw was 10 Usain Bolts on the field. That I'm no lie, bro. That's what I imagined. Damn, if we could put 10 Usain Bolts on the field, this nobody could stop you because this is about speed, control, agility, just agility, just mobile and being able to cut and all of that stuff. So
The
that
Jamaicans can move, bro.
and then
What?
and then back then it was like, when I saw Cool Runnings, I'm like, what the hell? Jamaicans doing bobsled? Man, we could do any damn thing we put out.
I don't play basketball. I don't think so.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
don't
Remember
think
you
I
got
got
Glenn
basketball.
Rice is Jamaican, Patrick
Patrick Ewing. Okay.
is Jamaican. You know what I mean? You
Okay.
got a whole bunch of
Yeah.
Jamaicans that play high level basketball. Okay.
Yeah.
So, when I saw that, and I'm like, yo, if I could put 10 Usain Bolts on the field, something would be special. And to see where we started in Kingston, and it's in every high school now in Kingston. It's a part of the teachers college in Kingston, where you're teaching it in the coaches program, in the PE program, in the colleges. So now it's become a part ingrained in the culture of lacrosse in Jamaica. And then when I first had my opportunity to coach in Jamaica, and I went down there in '93, and I coached, and I saw the passion of the youth there, how they gravitated towards it. I was inspired again. You know what I mean? So it's reinventing yourself in a way to keep inspired and finding new challenges, to stay passionate and inspired. And then I was given an opportunity again to build the first Caribbean heritage team. Um what was that team that we played in Rhode Island?
And I
What
remember. I remember we played. We played.
it was called the Heritage Cup, right? But diaspora. So to be able to bring athletes from America the first time that was of Jamaican descendants and put them together on a team and then compete for the first time. We never even had no practices.
No
We didn't have
practice.
no practices.
The
We just had uniforms and we went, right? And
uniforms were dope, though.
yeah, you and your brother was on that team, and to see your dad was there for the first time ever
Yeah, that was
I play lacrosse.
ever a sport in general.
Yeah, your dad came out to support. I was like,
Yeah,
so those are the little things that I take away from it. Like, giving the Caribbean culture and the Jamaican culture a chance to embrace something that they didn't know. And to see it now, they just played the World Games out in San Diego in June, July, and to see where the team has started from with just a friendly game, and to now to be competing in the world championship and finishing and beating some really good teams like Italy, Czech Republic, some really good teams, and then finishing. Jamaica is currently ranked number 8 in the world in lacrosse,
yeah,
and
that's
that's
crazy.
the highest ranked national team in our country's history. We have football, track and field, we have cricket, we have netball, volleyball, basketball, um, bobsled, all of those all these programs. But Jamaica lacrosse in just a short time, just a short history, and that speaks to the athleticism of our athletes being able to compete at a high level, and that's just sheer what I envision: the speed, the agility, the toughness, the rigor, the commitment, the dedication, the brotherhood, the oneness, the togetherness, right? All of those things coming together and being embraced by the team, by the community, by the culture, by the country. And now excelling at that high level is remarkable. And I'm feeling really blessed to have been a part of the
Yeah.
journey and to have been there from day one, to have been able to help start the Jamaica Lacrosse program is quite impressive and remarkable. So, just have
Yeah.
passion, reinventing yourself, staying true and committed helps helps you stay to your vision and want to continue working.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to you. Is dope because I feel like anything we get our hands on and we
Mhm.
stay focused, we cannot be touched. And I'm not
Mhm.
trying to sound arrogant. It's just we just got a whole different type of love for something that we want to do, and it's like it's dope. Like number 8 in the world, I can imagine in 5 more years they're gonna be in
What?
that top five.
Dude, they played Canada this year in the semifinals.
They play Canada semifinals. Who's the score?
It was I think it was 16-1 or something like that. But
Ooh,
the top four teams in the world, the top three teams in the world are USA, Canada, and
Australia.
Iroquois.
And Iroquois, yeah, the Native
Native
American.
Americans,
That's
right?
not fair though. They're American. They should be in the United States. They playing
So
with us, man.
they played with us,
They
but
playing
they
with us. They
showed
ain't,
so much love. The Canadians, they showed so much love for Jamaica to know where we started from, and we don't have the resources like they do, and the history of playing like Canada was where lacrosse started,
yeah,
right? And to know that they started lacrosse in Canada, and what I mean, and up on the Native Americans there, it's just quite amazing to see that we were in the final four, right? Put it that way, the final four, and competed at that high level. So kudos to Team Jamaica and all the players, the coaches, all the staff, all the organization itself, and big things are going on, and more
Tisagua.
fire, more fire, big things are going on.
that's
Yeah,
that's that's what's up. That's what's up.
big things are.
Um, let me ask you this. What would you say to a kid that is trying to be consistent, trying to feel inspired, trying to progress where they want to go? What would you say to that kid? Because there's a lot of people that need to hear inspirational messages, and like who knows, an inspirational message could change somebody. You know what I'm saying? What would you say to that person?
Stay true to yourself first and believe in yourself too, but always be a great teammate, right? Always be a great teammate. Coach Calhoun of UConn, he always say, I judge body language, right? And if you can't be happy for your teammates in their success, then you're not going to be happy for yourself, because they're not going to be happy for you when you succeed, right? So just stay true to your beliefs, what you believe in. Sometimes you'll find yourself like lacrosse. I'm still like the only guy doing lacrosse, right, in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is great. But at the same time, when I first started, I still hear people saying, "You still doing lacrosse? You still doing lacrosse in Bridgeport, in the inner city?" Yeah, and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that's what I do. I'm Mr. Lacrosse. That's what I do." You know what I mean? And now we have the sports academy that we are bringing more kids into sports and the culture of sports, flag football, track and field, volleyball, basketball. We just really celebrated like the Jamaica flag raising committee. We just had that the other day, and I was fortunate enough to bring three of the state championship runners in the 4x100 um, to this flag raising ceremony. And just to see the sheer joy and excitement on these runners' face from high school, um, know that, this is something really great and special that I want to continue doing and
Hmm.
inspire them to maybe one day I'm taking them to Jamaica to run events in Jamaica, right? And that becomes more powerful and very special in itself. So just, if there's anything you can do as a youth that, you find that you love, don't let anyone discourage you from following your passion, your dreams, and your vision. Have a vision for yourself, but don't let anybody discourage you from that. People tell you you can't, and there's no such word as can't. There's just too many stories out here of people who are overachieving, or look at Simone Biles. She's the oldest gymnast, and she's still competing at the highest level of competition. She just competed like 3 days ago, and she finished in her heat as number one, and she's the oldest, right? So don't let anybody tell you that the world swimmer the other day was a female from USA, and she was the oldest champion that swam and got gold medals in the Olympics. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't at whatever age, or it's all about how you feel about yourself.
Mm, mm. And let me ask you this before we end it. What is the future for Bridgeport Youth Sports, Bridgeport Youth Lacrosse? What is the future? Like where do you see this going in the next, I'm gonna say 2 years? Where do you see it going?
Next 2 years,
Next 2 year.
we just coming to kick some butt. You know what I mean? We're just gonna
Yeah.
continue this great momentum that we are on, of inspiring greatness, building champions, whether it's on the field or off the field, creating that mindset of I can do anything, that willpower, that passion in our youth, that could save them and serve them for their continued journey into life. If you can inspire greatness in these kids, and just having them believing in themselves, that's what we really want to be able to create, is really great student athletes. And within the next 2 years, just continuing to build this culture of excellence in our student athletes, and inspiring greatness within them. That's going to help us have more sustainability, more longevity in the future. And I always say the sky's the limit. So there's no top to the sky. So let's just keep growing and growing and growing, and doing this thing that we call lacrosse and sports, doing this thing called love, right? And just approaching it from that standpoint of love, what you're doing, and just continuing to grow that.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is one future goal that you have for yourself before this year is over?
For myself,
For yourself.
shoot, I wanna be on the beach in Jamaica, drinking my Mai Tai and just sitting back watching the younger generation like you guys fulfilling your dreams and taking over this thing. And hey, we could do this. I played lacrosse. Let's go help Don, and let's grow this thing. I want to see you younger generation take this over, and run with it. And I know it's gonna have continuity. And what I've built isn't just gonna go by the wayside, because it's not gonna die. It's gonna have longevity. So, just having that system in place for sustainability but I really want to be on the beach, bro. That's that's what it is right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Just,
yeah.
just kick back, have that spot on the beach, and get up in the morning and exercise, and jump in the water.
And
That
jump in
that's
the water.
jump in the water.
Yeah,
Man, the water is my life. So, you know,
yeah.
yeah, that gives me energy. That fuels me. So I wanna make sure that I'm prepared for that.
You want to do that when you go back home to Jamaica or somewhere else?
Jamaica, man.
Yeah, of course.
Jamaica, man.
Yo,
There's
that
nowhere
place
like your
is,
yard, man. There's nowhere like my
bro.
yard. You know what I mean? And when we say yard, we mean YAAD, our yard.
Yeah, I, that place, the people there, the place is
Mhm.
beautiful. I don't understand why the violence continues to go there, because like if they all just work
It's,
together over there, it could be paradise on earth. I'm telling you, the people there are
So
beautiful.
you have a
It's
systematic, you have a system in place to set up to perpetuate that culture of violence, and to serve and to be served, right? Is, you got to have people who are serving certain people, and that creates animosity, and that create grudge and strife, and battlefields, and within the small community. So once you have overstanding of all of that and what causes that, the system, um then you appreciate what the people are going through, and how the system continues to oppress the people and to keep them down into poverty and struggles. And because the world could do better, we see that they could do better, but
yeah,
until there's war, like Bob Marley says, until the color of a man's skin is no more significance than the color of his eyes, there's going to be war. So that's what it is, right? And we have to you know um achieve and overcome that, and you see where we're going backwards in terms of race relations, and how accountability and taking care of the community. Yesterday was the 66-year celebration of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, and
yeah,
think about just everything that the world is still going through, um as a whole. And we're going, voter rights are going backwards, and haves and have nots, the gap is widening, and so it's just, again, many many different levels of, when you think about stuff like that, that you have to be conscious.
yeah. That's true. That's true. Before we end the show, I like to ask my guests one positive message um you can give before ending the show. What is one positive message you would like to say?
Love is the answer, bro.
What was the answer? Yeah, I like that. Just a Thought podcast. We are out.